Item. SCP-003. Object Class. Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-003 is to be maintained at a constant temperature of no less than 35 degrees Celsius and ideally kept above 100 degrees Celsius. No living multicellular organisms of category IV or higher complexity may be allowed to come into contact with SCP-003. In event of total power failure, if SCP-0031 begins to increase its mass, assigned personnel must engage in skin contact with SCP-0031. Ideally, personnel may use their body heat to return SCP-0031 to above the critical temperature. However, skin contact must be maintained even in event of SCP-003 reaching activation temperature, lasting at minimum until SCP-0031 advances fully to its second growth stage. Personnel who enter SCP-003's containment area must first be examined for body parasites of category IV or higher complexity, and sterilized if such organisms are present. All personnel who have come in physical contact with SCP-0031 are to immediately report for sterilization afterwards. SCP-0031 must not be removed from SCP-0032 except in case of emergency procedures detailed above. Any significant change in SCP-0032's rune activity, including pattern, frequency, or color, should be reported within 3 hours of occurrence. Cessation of rune activity must be reported immediately. SCP-0032 must be supplied with power via the source-designated generator 0039 at all times. Description: SCP-003 consists of two related components of separate origin, referred to as SCP-0031 and SCP-0032. SCP-0031 appears to be composed of chitin, hair, and nails of unknown biology, arranged in a configuration similar to that of a computer motherboard. Testing reveals SCP-0031 to predate earliest known circuit boards by a factor of thousands of years. SCP-0031 is considered sentient but not actively dangerous except under certain conditions. SCP-0031 was found on a stone tablet, SCP-0032, on which it currently resides. The runes on SCP-0032 are not part of any known language, and emit pale, flickering light patterns. SCP-0032 is controlled by a non-biological internal computer, the contents of which are mostly inaccessible without risk of damaging SCP-0032. SCP-0032 is capable of controlled emissions of radiation, including heat, light, and anomalous radiation types. SCP-0032 contains an internal power source of an anomalous nature, which appears to have been losing power since several centuries before discovery. It is considered probable that SCP-0032 was created for the purpose of containing SCP-0031. Partially interpreted data recovered from SCP-003 the 2nd of May refer to a past and a potential future LK-class restructuring event caused by SCP-0031. SCP-003 was located by remote viewing team SRV-04-Beta. It appears possible that SRV-04-Beta was deliberately contacted by SCP-0032. Other organizations have also been alerted to SCP-003's existence, possibly by similar means. Despite this activity, SCP-0032 does not appear to be sentient, based on its lack of reaction to M03 Gloria analysis and procedures. When SCP-003 drops below the temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, both components react. First, SCP-0031 enters a growth state characterized by an exponential increase in mass. This growth state consists of two stages. In both stages, SCP-0031 partially fuels its growth by converting matter around it, starting with any surrounding inorganic material, including atmospheric elements, then non-living organic material, including cells of dead skin, hair, chitin, enamel, keratin, and other biological materials. The first stage is always the same. SCP-0031 will first increase its mass, then take a form similar in shape to an ephemeroid, brittle star of 15 meters in diameter, including what appears to be a central processor of 3 meters in diameter. It will form sensory organs that appear to scan its surrounding environment, and will partially convert the area around it to an unidentified anomalous substance. SCP-0032 seems immune from conversion. The second stage describes a growth alteration which occurs when SCP-003 comes into contact with living organic material. SCP-003 appears to template itself off of the organic material, and will attempt communication with organisms that match its initial template or templates. In its second stage, SCP-003 the first of may pause, slow or change its growth, and will also convert inorganic and non-living organic elements into functionally similar structures while anomalously altering their physical makeup. While growth is consistent in the first stage, in the second stage SCP-0031's growth rate is diminished by 20-90% so long as SCP-0031 remains in contact with living organic material. The percentage is determined by the complexity of the organism. In contact with SCP-0031. SCP-0031 appears to devote a large amount of processing power to analysis of living organic material. During each of SCP-0031's growth stages, SCP-0032 releases bursts of radiation that temporarily inhibit SCP-0031's growth, or reverse this growth when the temperature of SCP-0031 rises above 100 degrees Celsius. Similar radiation emissions have been replicated or recorded via other anomalous means. SCP-0031's biology has been the subject of extensive study. Significant elements have been identified similar to SCP-1512, and SCP-2756, the latter two of which have no further confirmed connection with SCP-0031 and no known connection with each other, and none of which are fully understood. Technically, even less understood than SCP-003. Thanks to the extensive cross-disciplinary research on the SCP-003 objects, to date, no convincing analysis has been put forward which satisfactorily explains SCP-0031's connection to these SCP objects or others, nor its connection to modern technology beyond appearance, and potential mimicry via unknown mechanism. Addendum 00301. Acting on information gathered from linguistic analysis of SCP-0032's runes and comparative data analysis, Research Team M03 Gloria has managed to establish a link between SCP-003 and data expunged for analysis of functions. SCP-0031 must now be considered sentient, and is to be kept a minimum of 1 kilometer from data expunged, and the resulting byproduct at all times. Addendum 00302. SCP-0032's power loss has been exacerbated by the procedures performed by M03 Gloria. On orders of 05-10, M03 Gloria will continue procedures. Addendum 00303. During M03 Gloria procedures, SCP-0031 doubled its mass and began rapid structural growth. Temperature was immediately returned to 100 degrees Celsius. Growth and mass increase of SCP-0031 continued for 9 minutes and 6 seconds, at which time a sustained radiation spike was produced by SCP-0032. In response, SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 3 minutes and 39 seconds. New growth dissolved into a dusty residue which was collected for analysis. Both SCP-0031 and SCP-0032 ceased all detectable activity. SCP-0032 did not resume activity until connected to external power source. SCP-0032's runes glowed uniformly gray and did not resume normal activity for 3 hours. SCP-0032 no longer appears to be able to maintain containment area at a temperature above 35 degrees Celsius without external power supplied by generators 0033-9. Addendum 00304. The procedure detailed in Addendum 00303 was repeated, and SCP-0031 again entered a growth state. After 10 minutes and 13 seconds, SCP-0032 once again produced a sustained radiation spike. SCP-0031's growth stopped for 36 seconds, then resumed at its previous pace. On quadrupling its mass, SCP-0031 formed a coherent outer shell and body. After appearing to scan its environment and partially converting its environment, SCP-0031 then breached containment, entering the observation gallery where 9 members of M03 Gloria were present. On physical contact with team members, SCP-0031 encompassed them in rapidly grown appendages and stopped growth for 15 minutes. SCP-0031 then resumed growth, and rearranged the component parts of the center of its form to the shape of a 3-meter-tall female humanoid, with peripheral tentacles shifting to extrude primarily from SCP-0031's newly formed hair and spine. SCP-0031 then produced rudimentary vocalizations in an apparent initial attempt to communicate with researchers. Data expunged. An unknown individual approached the compromised containment area in company of a full squad of agents. The individual claimed to be acting on orders of O5-10 and attempted communication with SCP-0031. Data expunged. Following this incident, Agent Jackson of M03 Gloria successfully restored power to SCP-0032 and activated backup generators to return the temperature to 100 degrees Celsius. SCP-0031 returned to its normal state in 21 minutes and 7 seconds, and was successfully recontained without incident. All 9 members of M03 Gloria affected by SCP-0031 were afterwards found to be physically unharmed, with no residual effects besides psychological trauma. The converted materials of SCP-003's former containment area did not dissolve and are now under analysis. Addendum 00305. In light of the previous incident, O5-10 was removed from the O5 Council by joint decision of O5, O5, and O5. M03 Gloria procedures have been indefinitely suspended.